We are back. I am back in the attic, man. If you are anywhere close to the northeast of the United States, man, you know we had a heat wave this week. I couldn't even come up to the attic for a couple of days, man. It was 100 degrees. It was 97 degrees. It was 96 degrees. I remember getting in my car a couple of days and it said 102 degrees. Now I understand it was hotter in the car, but man, oh man, it was hot. And today, on a Friday morning, I got a hoodie, I got pants on, back in the attic, philanthropy in Focus. I don't even know. Dr. K, good morning. I don't even know if it's warm. Like if it's 70, is it 75 degrees today? I mean, it's so nice and cool here in New York compared to what it was, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, man, it was hot. So I just Googled it's 68 degrees. It's went down like 30 some odd degrees from the way it was a couple of days ago. And now sure, I screwed up the doctor part instead of the last name part. Dr. K, you there? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah. Now I
Dr.
can
K.
hear you.
Yes, she is the founder of India Home, a center for senior care, which is an organization I met through the Queen's Chamber of Commerce only recently, within the last few months. We were doing a webinar for my business, Vanguard Benefits, and when we did a webinar, we've met part of the team from India Home. So we're going to talk about the organization. We're going to talk about the great work. We're going to talk about Dr. K's story because really we were talking right before the show started. And her story is the story of the organization. So, Doctor, can you start us off? I mean, you started, we do like a quick, sound check at the beginning of the show before we get started. And you started to tell the story a little bit going back to the 80s and coming here from India. So, as you and I talked about the other day, and again briefly this morning, this show is all about your journey. It's all about what you do, what you've done in the world, why this organization exists, and then ultimately we always get into how can we serve the population of your organization? How can people in my network, people I'm connected to, support the work you're doing? So without further ado, the organization is India Home. The founder is here with me. And Dr. Kalasapudi, I'm going to call you Dr. K because you said that it's okay to do. But
Sure.
Doctor, take it away. Tell us the story, man. Take us from India to Queens.
Thank you. Thank you, Tommy, for having me on this show.
You're welcome.
I migrated from India in 1988 with my husband and daughter. And like any other immigrant, we were trying to settle down in this new country.
Mhm.
And I started doing my research for some time because I wanted to spend more time with my children. And my son was born here in Bronx. And then I cleared my exams to become to practice as a doctor here.
Mhm.
And I got into training into residency at Brookdale Hospital.
Okay.
And after that, I did my fellowship in geriatric psychiatry at Long Island Jewish Medical Center. But when I was doing my residency fellowship, I never realized I had to diagnose my own father with dementia, vascular dementia. It was, it was painful moments for me. And like many other doctors, immigrant doctors, I started working in various hospital settings and providing the psychiatric services. And about almost 20 years ago, when I received a phone call from my mother about my dad doing some various odd things like picking up the papers from the street. And I was kind of surprised and shocked to hear that
Mhm.
because my father is a Sanskrit scholar. He had gold medal in Sanskrit, which is one of the oldest Oriental languages. He retired as as a head of the department for Oriental languages in India, and he wrote several books. And I could never imagine my father doing all those things when my mother told me. I said, "This is not my father whom I knew for all my life." And I immediately booked the ticket to go back to India. just to make sure like what's going on and to get all the medical care, whatever is required. So I got all the testing done for him. And then finally, it was, I had to diagnose him with having vascular dementia. What happens is when people have high blood pressure, and some of them they take medications regularly, but my father is one. He's not very regular in taking his medications. So as a result of that, the small blood vessels in his brain got ruptured, and some of the critical areas of his brain was damaged because of the uh, rupture in the brain, the small blood vessels, and that was causing all these behavioral problems. It was really painful stage of my life, more than about 20 years ago. And I could not leave this country because my daughter just joined the medical school in Brown University, which is Ivy League university, and my son is in high school.
Right.
We are like sandwich generation here.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was difficult for me to say that, okay, I'm going to wrap up everything and go back to India. And there were days where literally I used to cry traveling going to the hospital, traveling on these highways, Northern State Parkway. And I said, I could not decide what to do.
Because you wanted to be with your dad to take care of him and your mom and what they were going through, and you're raising children in this country. The sandwich generation is such a true thing. I'm living it, I'm in it, and it's interesting because I'm 47 and I've been talking about being part of the sandwich generation for at least the last 7 or 8 years. And I have friends who are 67 and 70 that are in this sandwich generation. So it doesn't stop. Do you want to, some folks are going, what is he talking about? Are you talking about lunch? No, we're not talking about lunch. We're not talking about that kind of sandwich. But I'll say my version, and then Dr. K, you can kind of highlight a little bit too about the sandwich generation through your lens. But really, it's we're raising children and we're now caring for our senior aging and sometimes sick and ill parents, right, doctor? What do you think? So, a little more of that.
That's precisely what it is, because you feel you have a responsibility towards your parents who raised you,
Yeah.
and you have a responsibility towards your next generation, your children also. And especially for immigrants, it's a hard time because honestly, I come from a very small village in South India. And when I was growing up in my village, if a girl is educated enough, uh, to write basic language skills, that's it. Nothing more than that. That means not even high school. They will expect the girl to get married and go to the in-laws place. And whereas my dad encouraged all of us, whether you're a girl or boy, doesn't matter. If you get into professional school, whether it is, as a physician or a engineer or a lawyer, you have to study. And I knew for sure, without my dad's encouragement, I wouldn't be in medical school at all. And so I have a much more responsibility. I knew it was his dream that I become a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but fortunately, at that time, my sister and my brother-in-law took voluntary retirement from central government of India, and they said, "Don't worry about it, and we will take care of them." So my parents moved in the same nearby town into my sister's place. Still, I used to go to India once in every 3 months
Oh, that
because,
often.
yeah,
Wow. How
yeah.
long is the flight to get from New York to India?
Yes, about 20 years back, it's almost like 18 to 20 hours
And you would do
because
that every 3 months?
every 3 months.
And how long would you stay?
I would stay for 10 days, 2 weeks, and come back again.
And come back. Wow, that's a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. Fortunately, I worked in a hospital where the department chairman, being a psychiatrist, he understood the struggle what I'm going through, and he said, "Okay, as long as we will arrange the coverage for you, if you have to go, leave. It's a loss of pay." I used to go, and I used to call home every day, almost in the morning. First thing in the morning, I would call them and talk to them because I cannot imagine my memory will be erased from my dad's brain.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, like, I would say hello to him and find out how he is doing. And as a only physician in the family, I have to educate my sister, brother-in-law, and my mother about the outcome of this disease. How long he is going to hang on and how to take care of his needs and his medication management and coordinating with the doctors, local doctors, about his care.
Is there this is just curious for me, so I'm wondering, so this is some 20 years ago. Um, did was the level of care in India similar, less, more, like to compared to what you saw here in the States at the time?
Yeah, it has changed because when my father was diagnosed, not many facilities were available. And recently, actually, one of my friend's mother has Parkinson's, and they were looking for a place in the same. We all come from the same neighborhood,
Hmm.
so I could find a place for them. I told them they are going to start this special center, and so that your mom can be taken care over there. It has changed quite a bit, and so I'm happy for that because there is a need. India is more than 1.3 billion population, and the aging population, people are living longer now with the advanced medical care in India, and naturally you expect all sorts of problems related to increased longevity.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt. I pulled something up that I want to ask you about. And this is somebody that I met, and I had heard about this doctor. And last year, about a year and a half ago, I was able to introduce him at an event for the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center conference. I'm involved. My friend runs this organization, Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center, out here on Long Island. And I'm getting the impression that this is a name that might be somebody you've bumped into over the years. The book was called My Father's Brain by Dr. Sandeep Jahar. Did you know, did you or do you know Dr. Jahar?
I don't know him personally, but I read the book,
Yeah.
and it was. I mean, I could relate to each and every page of that book
Yeah.
because his father was intellectual. He worked in this country, and he had the problem here. So
Yeah.
I
That's
could
why I was
understand.
feeling that connection. Yeah, I was feeling that connection, between so I met him. I have a couple copies of the book, I can maybe I can make a connection for you. Wonderful man and very again, nothing's the same, but similar story to some of what you've shared with me. So and if I'm not mistaken, I mean he's a product of Northwell. I don't know if he's still with the
Mhm.
Northwell system, but um, but you probably have connected through other people. You probably have some connections and things like that. But that book again, it's My Father's Brain by Sandeep Jahar, and that's so I have two copies downstairs. I'll have to get you one of those copies, Dr. K. Um, I mean, listen, I've taken so many notes here, and this is what the show is all about because it's all about the journey and the organization, everybody. The name of the organization is India Home. And if you want to check out the website, it's indiahome.org. We're going to get into more of the story about you and your family and your dad. And then also, obviously, as a geriatric psychiatrist, why you end up founding this organization here in the States for the community. So we'll get into all that. We'll take a quick break. We'll continue with the story about how you were doing this sandwich generation thing, caring for your dad and your mom and back and forth and stuff. And we'll get that story to India Home shortly. So, Dr. K, I appreciate you being here. We will be right back. The show is called Philanthropy in Focus.
Thank you.
Are you a conscious co creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
We are back. Your boy in the attic, Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector. I'll tell you the truth, Dr. K. Tommy D stayed out a little bit too late last night. We had the fire pit in the backyard, and I'm a little less energetic than I usually am. I'm usually like this, and I think I just haven't had enough coffee and caffeine in his body. But we're going to talk about to continue your journey, and then we get to the creation of this important organization, which is there is one important question. I don't know if this matters to you or not, but let me ask you. You're in Queens, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you first came to the States, it sounds like you were in the Bronx. Your son was born in the Bronx. I don't know if this matters to you at all, but are your family Mets fans or Yankee fans? We ask people when it relates to the boroughs and stuff like that. Do you care, or is it cricket, or is there a baseball connection here? What is it?
In my family, we all love to read books
Okay,
and
got it.
socialize a lot,
All right.
but not really much into games. But my son-in-law, he is a big fan of cricket. Their family is into all games at all.
God, cricket, they had a big thing, obviously, here on Long Island, which I'm sure you're aware, last summer
Right,
at Eisenhower Park. It was like, I don't know what they called it, if it was a World Cup or something like that, but it was a
right.
big
Yes.
competition. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
I,
big competition and with a lot of expensive tickets.
yeah, it was a big deal. It was expensive. And I don't know the game, and it's interesting. So my sons and my daughters are athletes. But I saw these. So they have the batting cage like at the baseball field, and these two young men were there practicing their cricket in the batting cage recently. And I talked to them for a couple moments because I would love to learn that game. All right, so we got the verdict is in. Not baseball fans, doesn't matter, Bronx or Queens, it's all good. But so I love the fact that you say your family loves to read and you're readers and things like that, because how else can we get this knowledge if we don't consume it, right? It's not osmosis. That's not how we get knowledge. So let's go back to, your parents, you're back and forth and you're checking in on the family, and you have to be the one to tell the stories and explain things. And you're running a practice here and the family back in the States at the same time.
That's right. I was actually working in the hospital. I was about to start my full-time private practice as a geriatric psychiatrist.
Yeah.
I haven't really made all the plans except I purchased a place where I
Okay.
was about to do my practice.
Uh-huh.
And at the same time, when I was working in a hospital, Dr. Kiran Dave, we were colleagues together. She used to work in the emergency room, and I used to do psychiatric consultations in the emergency room. She took care of her mother with Alzheimer's dementia. And Dr. Dave's son and my son were attending the same school in Long Island.
Okay.
So we were, I was talking to her about my dad's vascular dementia, and she was talking about her mother's Alzheimer's dementia, how difficult it is for her to manage her at home. Because whenever my friend had to go for a medical conference, she would keep her mother in a nursing home
Yeah.
for about 3-4 days as a respite care.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother, with severe Alzheimer's dementia, would come back home and complain, like, why did you leave me there? They are different people. It's different food. I didn't like it. Even for 3-4 days, she could not stay there, leaving her family.
Yeah.
And her mother was a retired botany professor. And it was, I mean, in those days, as a retired botany professor in India, is not a joke, really. I mean, she was highly educated, accomplished, just like my dad.
Yeah.
And it was painful for them to see what her mother was going through. Another friend of mine, Dr. Deepika Sood, we did fellowship together, geriatric psychiatry, and she had to quit her job as a geriatric psychiatrist for 2 years to care for her father with Parkinson's disease. So she hired two home health aides. On the top of it, she has to supervise his care staying at home. So we all went through quite a bit personally. Suddenly, we realized being physicians, knowing the language, knowing the medical care system, we struggled so much to find care for our own parents. How about the common people, not knowing the language, not knowing the medical system, how to navigate this complicated healthcare system? Where do they go for help? So I started calling Department of Health, Department of Aging in New York City, State, Washington, everywhere. Everybody told me one thing, Dr. K, we understand what you are asking us, but we don't have any curry serving facilities for your seniors, which is
What
a
was that?
cultural.
Was
Sorry,
that a was that just let me make sure everybody understood what you said. They said we don't have any curry serving s- facilities.
facilities. Yeah.
Was that sounds like a rude thing to say. So I'm not sure if I'm receiving the information wrong or if I'm not understanding what you're saying.
I won't say rudely. They didn't tell. I mean, they didn't sound rude. It's
Okay.
only thing is they said as a matter of fact and a
Okay.
reality, which is true.
Uh-huh.
They
Yeah.
said like there are not special facilities where your culturally sensitive food is available, right? So
Okay.
that is
Okay.
they didn't honestly they listened to my entire proposal. I mean entire problem, and they understood. They said yes, we do understand, but we don't have what you are asking is are there any facilities with serving this South Asian seniors?
So that's what you were that was so you're they were answering the question you were asking. You were
Yes.
saying, here's what we need, here's what's missing in the marketplace or as an opportunity for facilities,
Right.
and where is that? And they said, well, we're sorry, we understand, but that doesn't exist. That was
Yes.
more of what, okay, okay, got it.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Not really. They didn't sound, I didn't find them to be rude or anything, but they told the facts.
Got it. I just didn't know that sounded like a flippant answer, and I wanted to understand if that was so. It was more like it was just a matter of fact. We don't have what you're looking for. So I think this brings us to a point where any entrepreneur, doctor or other, sees a problem and says, well, the thing doesn't exist. So what do we do?
Yes, that's where we were.
That's
Uh, then I realized, okay, I know if I start my private practice, maybe I would make a couple of 100,000 more than what I was making in the hospital,
yeah.
but that's not what I wanted to do. That's when we all of our friends got together. We said, okay, let's have a discussion about this. So we had several informal community meetings at my home.
Hmm.
I would call my friends over the weekend for lunch or dinner. About 20, 25 friends from the community leaders and from the professional connections. And we will have dinner or lunch together. And then I would make a little presentation about the problem,
Hmm.
about 10 slides showing
Okay.
them what the problem is. And then I would ask them their opinion. What do we need? And what do the community feel about it? So over a period of 8 to 10 months, there were 200 people attended these community lunches and dinners. And then everybody said, yes, it is needed. We have to realize there is a huge demand for it and we have to do something about it.
So let me
But
ask you before you go on, I want to ask you another question.
sure,
Where geographically were you having these meetings? I know a lot of your space now is in my favorite
Queens.
borough, the Queens. Was this in Queens at the time?
No, I was living in Long Island at
Okay.
that time.
Right.
In Rosalind Heights,
Okay. Yeah.
we were inviting our friends at home
Got it.
because we didn't meet anywhere outside in a restaurant or anywhere. I just would invite them home. We would
Yeah.
arrange the food, either lunch or dinner, depending on the meeting.
So
And
where were
then,
they from? Were they from Queen? I'm trying to grasp, like, because you're asking folks to like, you're assessing, is this a problem? I see
yeah,
it as a problem. Is this an issue?
right.
Does it make sense for us to address this and do something? So were those people and their families? Because if you're meeting with at this time, how many years ago is this? Is this well,
It was almost like about 20 before India Home started in
yeah.
2007. And
Okay, so we're going
yeah,
18 years ago or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
at the time, you're meeting with your contemporaries who have parents who are already experiencing this, right?
right.
Or even the younger people maybe who are seeing their grandparents in this. So mainly those folks, like the total or the geographic need was more so in Queens, in Nassau County as well. What were you finding?
Yeah, it was mostly some of them are from Queens,
Hmm.
some of them are for Nassau County, and a few of them from Suffolk County
Okay,
also.
got it.
And a couple of people attended from New Jersey also.
Okay.
But most of them were based around Queens and Nassau County.
Got it. So what were the findings when you have 8 to 10 months of these sessions, 200 people? Was it maybe we could need this, or was it something different?
Most of them, I would say 80% of them, yes, it is needed.
Hmm.
But we really didn't have an idea like how we are going to do about it.
Yeah.
Then one gentleman, Mr. Dama Venkaya, he registered 8 non-profit organizations in this country.
Mhm.
And he used to do our personal taxes.
Okay.
So he said, you have to start a non-profit organization and then start the services. So, but we were all, most of us, we were physicians. We had no clue about non-profits.
Right. Right.
So we said, okay, we'll take your help. And he helped us to uh, organize this non-profit and register this non-profit. Unfortunately, he's no more.
Mm.
But he helped us a lot because he understood, he gave us a lot of guidance also. He compared this organization, interestingly, with a concept called Hindu temples.
Okay.
There is a huge Ganesh temple, Hindu center, and there are many temples in Queens, right?
Yes.
And he said, what you are trying to do is you are trying to build a temple, a place for all these seniors to come together.
Wow.
So you need to connect with the community and get the community support into this establishing this organization. So we did register this organization as a nonprofit in 2007 March.
Okay.
And after registering the organization, then of course we need to figure out how we get the money for this organization,
Sure.
who is going to support this organization, what we are going to do with this organization. So for almost one more year till 2008, we were doing some more research of visiting the senior centers in New York City, where there are more than 300 senior centers.
Wow. Is that right?
Yep. We visited at least 30 of them.
So what? So you know what? Before we do this, let's take a break because we're gonna have to take a break. So I want to. Went out. I see you. You're going out. You're visiting 30 of these senior centers. When we come back, I want to know what you were looking for because you're looking for, I assume, a roadmap. You're looking for some architecture, some ways to do things because you're building something, and I guess you want to find out, well, first of all, what do we need, right? What are the services we're going to provide, and then how can we do it better in
Mhm.
certain ways, and specifically, how can we serve the community and population we're serving? I guess it was a lot of that.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
perfect. So folks, we're gonna take a quick break. We come back. Dr. K is going to share what the findings were by going out and learning about 30 different senior centers in the city of New York. And through that analysis, what is now India Home? And I'm going to share the website when we go to break. However, if you're only listening, you can go check out indiahome.org to learn more about the organization. And then we'll share some contact information later in the show. All right. So, Dr. K, we're going to take a quick break. We come right back.
Sure. Thank you.
We are now, in my mind, I'm waiting for you to tell us the story about the visits you made. So that's where we're going to leave them on a cliffhanger. It's like the end of a season, and we'll come back next season, which is really in 30, 45 seconds. So, all right, Philanthropy and Focus, Tommy D, give it a break. Let's go. Right back.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marsanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
That's right. Cut through the static. Dr. K, in New York City or in New York or whatever, like in this kind of in our catchment area, let's just figure out how many folks, is it, so it's South Asian, is it not strictly folks from India that you serve, but like what is the population in New York, let's just say, that are potential people you can serve through your organization?
Yeah, there are a lot of South Asians in Queens. It's not just about Indians, but people from Bangladesh, people from Pakistan and Nepal, Sri Lanka, even Indo-Caribbean Guyanese population. So these are all, they wanted specifically culturally sensitive services. And in Queens is like a hub for South Asians. Next to the Queens, of course, Nassau County again. Nassau County also, there's a huge South Asian population. So we started, I mean, in Bronx and Brooklyn also, we have South Asian population living there and Manhattan and Staten Island. But when compared to Queens, they're less in numbers, very focused in certain areas. So we thought, okay, let's start in Queens first. But to understand the need of what are different kinds of services available. In the healthcare, we know hospitals and nursing homes and assisted living facilities. But in the community, what is available? So we started visiting these 300 senior centers. Out of that, we selected a few. Most of them are in Queens and some in even in Bronx and Brooklyn we visited. We spoke with the executive directors and staff, and we understood having these seniors coming to these centers, it is increasing the socialization for them, making new friendships, and sitting and eating with lunch with other people. So that was actually, it's sort of preventive health. People don't realize the importance of senior centers. In fact, I was ashamed. I said, I got trained in geriatric psychiatry for 1 year, which is a specialized mental health problems in older age population. I didn't know about these senior centers. And we were never taught there is a huge disconnect between the community centers and hospitals.
I have to ask you a question, and I don't want to take us too far off of track, but it's been something I've been thinking about asking you for the last half hour. What was it that made you get this specialization in geriatric psychiatry? What was the catalyst there?
Yeah, interesting question. Honestly, I was finishing my psychiatry residency, which was like 4 years training. And in the last 1 year, I was the chief resident. like taking the responsibility of the residents. And as a chief resident, I did a lot of things in the hospital, in Brookdale Hospital, where I got trained. And it was quite hectic that particular year for me, being in the leadership role and accomplishing a lot more things in the hospital setting, that I got really tired, and I said, okay, instead of going straight to the job, why not I do a fellowship? And I attended, I did some interviews, and one was very close to my home, Long Island Jewish Medical Center.
Sure, sure.
That's where we were living at that time in Queens.
Yeah.
I said, okay, it's not far off. I can just walk to the hospital and learn a little bit about, and geriatric psychiatry. At the same time, in my hospital in Brookdale, they asked me to do child psychiatry fellowship.
Wow.
They said, why don't you do child psychiatry here? I told them it's very difficult for me because sometimes when I see the children in the hospital, I feel it's not the problem, trying to label a child
Yeah.
for the problems with their parents and society around them.
Wow.
So I said, no, I cannot do that. It breaks my heart. Sometimes I
Yeah.
wonder, what if my children grew up in these neighborhoods, in this kind of situations, what would they turn out to be?
So let me ask you. So let's dig in there a minute too there then. So I'm what I'm hearing you say is something I talk a lot about with some of my friends and colleagues is trauma. And I'm hearing you're saying like some folks might be a certain way because of where they've grown up and the challenges and trauma they've dealt with,
Yes.
right? And this is a response, behaviors or emotional challenges or things
Hmm.
are all a response
Yeah.
to what they've gone through. Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad we went down that road, but I'm going to take you back to where we were. You said you didn't even realize how important the socialization was, and I'm going to share with everybody and anybody who really either knows me through this podcast and this show here or just knows me in the real world. I say this, a stranger is a friend I haven't met yet. That's what I consider a stranger. So I think it's so cool to at any point and age in our life to make new friends, and these connections. And I know this, and I think you know this, and many of the listeners know this already, but the connections and the interaction and the learning. Listen, I'm no clinician. I've never been to medical school. I've driven past a couple medical schools, but that's about as close as I've been to medical school. But what I'm saying is socialization connection, it is good for our brain, right, Doc?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is actually, a preventive measure
Yeah.
for depression and for
Yes.
dementia, and it's extremely important. And most of the seniors, whether you believe it or not, when they're alone at home and they don't pay attention to what they are eating, sometimes they don't even bother to eat properly,
Sure.
so which would put them into medical complications by not eating well and staying at home alone. Whereas here in the senior centers, they come together, they sit with other people, they chit chat, and they eat. The socialization itself makes them active and wanting to meet new friends and new relationships. So that's where when we visited this, that's what we realized. Yes,
Yeah.
these are like hubs
Yeah.
for the seniors.
Yeah. And I bet people who might be a widow or a widower, maybe they meet a new partner out of these things and stuff like that. Because no matter how old we are, we want companionship and we want connections, whether it be friendship connections or more than friends connections, I guess too, right?
Yeah, in fact, it happened with one of our seniors. One gentleman lost his wife, and the other lady was also single.
Yeah.
So they decided, after meeting at the senior center, after a couple of years, they decided to get married and settled.
That's a beautiful thing. We're gonna live here probably 80, 85, 90 years, maybe more, right? When life doesn't end at 60 or 65 or whatever, man. There's so much more. So what else did you pick up on the tour going out and visiting these facilities?
Yeah, the other thing we realized is, for example, in some senior centers where South Asians are living in large numbers, uh, the South Asian seniors are not going into these centers. in huge numbers. Like, for example, in Floral Park and New Hyde Park,
New Hyde
Glen
Park, very,
area.
very high population, specifically of Indians in New Hyde Park, Floral Park, Queens area over there too, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah. And there are huge number of seniors are living, but they're not going to the local senior centers. And in
So
the
where are
same
they going?
way,
So are they not going anywhere at that point in time? They were not, they were just staying home. They
they
weren't
were
getting,
staying home. At
yeah,
the most, they would go to the local neighborhoods temples,
okay,
but not to the senior centers.
yeah,
Like SNAP services now for adult persons, it
yeah,
is in existence for more than whatever, 30, 40 years
yeah.
ago. And the seniors are not going there. And Sunnyside also is very well known, and where there is a huge Indian population in Elmhurst, and South Asian population is bigger in Jackson Heights,
Mhm.
but people are not going there to Sunnyside Community Services.
So you're saying you and your team are going, what's going on here? You kind of realize it validates what your thoughts were going, yeah, that folks aren't even coming out here. So there's definitely a need.
Right, right. So that's when we had a proposal. Our first proposal, of course, we put with a temple in Nassau County,
Okay.
which was very easy because it's a Sai Mandir, and the temple executive, I mean, um, temple founder is my friend, Dr. Nori. He's our family friend. He said, okay, immediately you can start a senior center weekly one day over there. So we said, okay, we'll start in 2008, April, we started. Then immediately in Queens, we started Sunnyside, SNAP, Services Now for Adult Persons. We reached out to the executive director. We met with them at least 3, 4 times. And they said, oh, our doors are open for everybody. They can come here. But I tried to explain to them. I gave a lecture about South Asian culture,
Yeah,
what our culture is about, our languages and our food habits. And
yeah,
then we took the executive director and the associate executive director to one of the restaurants. We told them this is the kind of food they eat.
right,
Not the pizza and pasta once in a while we eat, but not
right.
every day.
Yeah,
So it took 6 months, but they agreed. They said, okay, you can bring your seniors one day over here, and we told them, we will arrange the transportation, we will arrange the food, we will arrange the programming by having our staff who would speak the language with the seniors. So it took 6 months, but we established our first center in Queens in 2008, April. And after that, the second center was very easy in Sunnyside because already Sunnyside Executive Director Judy Jangwell heard about our center in SNAP. So she, in one meeting
hmm,
and one email, we finalized all the details, and we started our second senior center weekly once in Sunnyside, and the third one in Queens Community House. In 2010 we started.
So do you find that that's been the way, and I'm sharing the website everybody to show the different locations. Do you find that's the model is to partner up with another organization
Mhm.
and build your centers in their spaces? Is that what you think?
Yes, that's how we thought it, because it was a learning process for us, right? When
Sure.
we exist with other senior centers, we know what are all the different regulations of government Department of Aging we need to follow. And we
Hmm.
have to learn how to operate a senior center also. That was a big journey for us. And it took us almost like 2, 3 years to
Yeah.
learn, what to do, how to do, and where to get the money. Especially the fiscal responsibility was when we were starting more centers, it was increasing, and we didn't have much government funding in the beginning, and we have to convince our own community members to come
Sure.
in as donors.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned donors and things like that because I was looking on the website earlier this morning, and you have something coming up in October. You have a gala coming up October 5th, and we'll
Yes.
talk more about it when we come back from break. But the India Home Gala, let's see, is October 5th. Oh, it's actually at India Home. Is that right? It's at the facility?
Not at the facility, it's in Long Island. We are doing this.
Okay. Where is it going to be?
It's in Pearl Restaurant in Hicksville.
Oh, in Hicksville. Okay. again, there's a community, a high South Asian community in the Hicksville area as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. So I want to be there with you on
Thank
October
you.
5th. And
We
we'll
will
work out.
invite you.
Yeah, we'll work out the details and in any way I could support that event. When we come back, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, it's about Dr. K, what do you need at this point? Because we've told a lot of the story and things like that. And if there's any more you want to tell about programs, we come back, we could talk about that. But I also want to get into what do you need? Is there, you might say, Tommy, other than October 5th, we have this event and we have this volunteer opportunities, or we're looking for some additional board members, whatever the case may be, we're going to get into that. I know all of our nonprofit friends need additional funding. I know that never goes away. But we'll talk about some more of that when we come back. How's that sound, Dr. K?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Dr. K and Tommy D, we will be right back.
Thank you.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Ready to serve up success with a splash? Hi, I'm Bruce Kramer, aka the Corporate Cockroach.
I'm the Renaissance woman, Angie Snowball.
And I'm your strategy doctor, Dr. Navtej Desange, inviting you to serving up success with a splash.
Join us as we shake things up with real talk and real strategies centered around awareness, action, and accountability.
And yes, there really is a cocktail involved. Please join us and sip your way to success.
Serving up success with a splash, where wisdom meets happy hours. Cheers!
Cheers!
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Jeremy in the attic. All right. So, Dr. K, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, I guess it was maybe a month and a half ago or so, my friend Tom Gretsch and my friend Brendan Levy, CEO and Vice President of Business Development at the Queens Chamber of Commerce, were on the cover of This is Queensborough, which is the magazine for the Queens Chamber of Commerce. And they had paint all over them. And the holiday, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it, is it Holly or is it Holy? How do you pronounce this?
Holy.
Okay. Holi. Holy.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit, because I Googled it while because they have these great pictures, and a little bit, to be honest, I'm a little jealous that I wasn't invited to celebrate, because it looks like so much fun. But it says a vibrant celebration known for paint splashes signifies the arrival of spring and the triumph of good over evil and the joy of new beginnings. So can you tell me a little bit, like 30 seconds on that holiday? Because it looks just wonderful.
Yeah, holiday, a lot of people view this as most like a festival of colors.
Okay.
Just like Diwali is festival of lights, this is like festival of colors. And one of the important things is, people celebrate this not just as a passing of culture from one generation to the other generation, but reminding about the stories associated with this. And it's like, families coming together, and especially children would love this festival.
Yeah.
So definitely we will make sure we will keep you invited.
I want to come in. It looks like so much fun. I'm like, how do I miss out on a party like that? That just looks so fun. So I want to be part of that. So
at India Home, we have many parties.
Well, I would really like to become a friend of the organization. I'd like to come by and do a tour with you and some of your team, and really find ways that I might be able to, through my connections and relationships, support some of the efforts that you're doing here. So let's get into some of that. What kind of on the horizon are there things that when you're sitting with your board or when you're sitting with your staff that are coming up, we really need this or we need that? What's going on there?
Okay. Going fast forward, of course, we started our senior centers in existing senior centers, but during COVID time, we have to close all our senior centers,
Right.
not just India Home, everybody across the board because
Yeah.
of COVID. And then, but we did continue through Zoom and home delivered meals and home delivered groceries and all. After this COVID regulations are lifted off, then we started actually collaborating with the temples,
Okay.
faith-based organizations. So we have one senior center in a mosque, which is 5 days a center serving Bangladeshi Muslims, and four senior centers in temples. One in Richmond Hill, one in Jackson Heights, one in Flushing, and one we are planning to start in Long Island, Nassau County. And we also started dementia daycare about 2 years back, which is the whole story of India Home is because of dementia story.
Right.
So we started the Dementia Day program. We also started doing something called co-living homes for seniors. Co-living is a very popular concept in millennial generation. So we started our first co-living home in Floral Park by purchasing a single family home and modifying that home, having bathrooms attached to each bedroom. So right now there are four seniors living in Floral Park Senior co-living home. They have their own bathrooms and bedrooms as a special just for that individual. But other areas are common areas where, the kitchen and the living room, basement and backyard, these are all common areas. So all of them will have socialization,
Yeah.
eating together and spending time
I
together.
love that model. I love that model because, like, folks at that point in their life, maybe their families moved on, maybe they don't have children or grandchildren, and then they build their own chosen families to some extent there. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And some of them, even if the children are here in New York City,
Right.
they
Yeah.
would prefer staying here because they have the company here.
I
And
I love that.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
second one we are doing in Jamaica for the last 1.5 years. That's about six Bangladeshi seniors. And we specifically culturally develop them. The Floral Park one is a vegetarian co-living home. And Jamaica one is halal food. They
Oh,
they are all
wow. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
yeah, they're
So,
all
so do they
Bangladeshi seniors.
do they do their own cooking, or is
Yeah,
that
they do their own cooking,
okay?
but our staff will coordinate if they need to go for groceries or,
Yeah.
they need some help. Our
So
staff
who
would help
who
them.
owns the home? Does India Home purchase the home and the nonprofit
Yes,
owns the home?
India Home owns those homes.
Got it.
And the next biggest project is we are developing 94 units of affordable housing in Jamaica. So that would be next 2, 3 years. That's our focus of having 94 units. Some are studios, some are one bedrooms, 100% affordable for seniors over there. So we got some government funding from city, state, and all.
Yeah.
Uh, but we would need more philanthropists
Yeah.
from community for this. Because to start with the India Home success in the beginning, I would give the credit to Doshi Family Foundation.
Okay.
And they donated a bus in the beginning to transport our seniors from their homes to the senior centers and drop them back. They also donated 100,000, 25,000 a year over a period of 4 years. That helped us a lot. And then there was another foundation, Kedia Family Foundation, Mr. Vijay Kedia and Kshama Kedia. They supported India Home quite a bit, almost close to 200,000 they supported. And recently, one foundation called Guru Krupa Foundation, they supported 75,000 for one of our projects in developing a community center. And the city government, city council members, and borough president Donovan Richard,
Yeah.
and our speaker Adrian Adams, and state senators, and federal government senators too, Congress Chuck Schumer and Christian Gillibrand. They have been supporting India Home quite a bit, but we need more of a community support into this and foundation support also.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
that's where you can help us.
Yeah. So as far as like the event on October 5th, and what other types of events can people get involved with, from And do you have a development department, I guess is another question.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we do have a small development department, which is led by our deputy director, Saranya Pillai. And we have specifically, dedicated person, Davendra Singh, for the housing director. He's the one who is in charge of housing capital grants and housing grants. We have two more people in our development department helping writing the grants from foundations and all. But definitely we wanted more community to be involved in this and more outreach. Just like definitely we would invite you, maybe you can come and, interview our seniors and
I would
see
love that.
what do they, what do they need? What else they are expecting from India Home? And our seniors are great advocates of India Home. You have
love
seen sometimes they go to the city council and they talk to the city council members, and on the city hall they actually, put the flyers and they would talk about their needs of the community.
Listen, who better to tell folks what is needed than the people receiving the services, right? That's a wonderful way to do it. We're just about at time. So Dr. Kalasapudi, also known as Dr. K. I mean, I have a whole last name. It's DiMisa, but everybody calls me Tommy D. So Dr. K and Tommy D, we could do some cool stuff together. I'm sure of it. I love your story. I'm appreciative of just your candor in telling the story about your family and the challenges. And I think what I learned today, a lot of things, but specifically one thing I'll key in on is I learned that, you all may have a direction that you think you're going, and then life may come in, something will come in and affect and sort of change the direction and trajectory of where you're going. And there's some faith to that, Dr. K, to just kind of lean in and follow kind of what God or the universe or whatever somebody's belief set is that pushes us in that direction. And it's a leap of faith, wouldn't you say, Dr. K?
Yes, definitely. I agree with you, Tammy. This is a great opportunity for us. And we established this model so that other immigrant populations also can follow this model. And I really appreciate this talk show. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you were here. Thank you so much. Shout out to your whole team who made this happen. I appreciate everybody at India Home. I look forward to seeing you all. I want to come out probably in July for a visit, and we'll make something happen. And I like your idea about having me interview some of the folks. So everybody, thanks for checking out the show. The show is called Philanthropy and Focus. I'm called Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector. This as always has been another In Focus production. Make it a great day. See you all. Bye.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you very much.
Connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.